It's so great to be here with you today and to see so many people supporting Israel, supporting peace, supporting two-state solution, supporting Israel's democracy, supporting our values. So it's great, really great to be here with you. 70 years ago, the State of Israel was established, and just few hours after Ben-Gurion read the Independence Scroll, another rabbi, the rabbi of Tel Aviv, read another scroll. And this was the Ketubah of my parents that got married the same day the State of Israel was established. They had just left the Irgun, the underground fighting for the existence of the Israel, and became the first couple of the State of Israel. And the next day, my father joined the army in order to defend the newly born state. So my parents fought to make their dream of a Jewish state come true, and today our responsibility is to keep the same vision alive. This vision is not only about the existence of the State of Israel, but it is also about the nature of the State of Israel and our values. What are the values of the State of Israel? This is something that I would like to speak today with you. And the key words are a Jewish democratic state. Now, thank you, but these are words that we are all using, saying, yes, Israel is a Jewish democratic state, but frankly, what does it mean? And the different meanings of the words Jewish and democratic are tearing Israeli society apart and have created a tension with Jewish communities around the world. So we need to understand what happened since the State of Israel was created. And what was obvious in 1948 is not obvious anymore. You know, when the State of Israel was established, Jews all over the world cried with joy. Years later, their children were horrified when Israel was at war, existential war, in Yom Kippur war, and they felt that they need to protect Israel. But today, many of their grandchildren feel alienated toward Israel. And we need to turn this crisis into an opportunity. But first, we need to create a new relationship, a completely new dialogue between Israel and the Jewish communities around the world. Let's put aside the old dialogue that was, well, Israel is there for you as a shelter in case of anti-Semitism, and you will support Israel with love, donation, support no matter what. And I highly appreciate your support, but I believe that our relations are deeply, or are more deep than that. And the relations between Israel and the world Jewry should be based first and foremost on a shared values and understanding what it means for Israel to be the nation state of the Jewish people, and what does it mean to you to have Israel as a Jewish state. So my vision is based on the Scroll of Independence. And the most important principles are, and this is part of the greater vision. First principle, a Jewish state is not a religious state. It is the nation state of the Jewish people. This is the raison d'etre of the State of Israel. It was created as a national answer for the right of the Jewish people for a state. And therefore, the nature of Israel and its definition as a Jewish state is not and should not be the monopoly of the ultra-Orthodox parties in Israel. The State of Israel should represent and respect all different streams of Judaism and should give space for everyone to express their faith in the way he or she feels is right. And when talking about space, let's literally make sure that every Jew, no matter how they choose to express their faith, has a space, literally a space and a place to pray at the Western Wall. It also means that conversion should be something that unites all of us, and Israel should welcome and recognize all those who convert to Judaism, those who want to be part of the Jewish people, regardless of whatever they converted was, whether it was Orthodox, Reform, or other liberal rabbi. Second, and this is not less important, and this is the second principle, we need to cherish and preserve the nature of Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people with equal rights to all its citizens, without discrimination based on religion, gender, or nationality. Equal rights for every Jewish, Muslim, straight, or LGBT Israeli. This is not some kind of favor that we should do to the Israeli Arabs. This is part of our values, and equality is a Jewish value. Love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor, ואהבת לרעך. All these are part of our Jewish values. We are not looking at the American Constitution to find out what equality means. And this is also part of what needs to be the basic value of the State of Israel. So these two principles, the right of the Jewish people to a sovereign state and the rights of its citizens to equality, these values were defined 70 years ago, and these are the values that we should keep. And in two words, this is the true meaning of a Jewish democratic state. These are the basic values of the State of Israel, and these should be also the basic values that guide every Israeli decision maker. And talking about decisions, in order to keep Israel as a Jewish democratic state and to have these values living in harmony and not in contradiction, we need a Jewish majority in the State of Israel. This is a must. And therefore, the most important decision is also maybe the toughest decision that's hanging over our heads for the past 50 years. And this is to end the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians on the basis of two states for two peoples, when each state gives an answer to national aspiration of different peoples. This is the only just solution. And this is the just solution for us as Jews, for the Palestinians as well, but this is the only way to keep our vision of a Jewish and democratic state alive. And therefore, my friends, two states for two peoples is an Israeli interest. And therefore, any American president who supports the idea of two states for two peoples is not pro-Palestinian and anti-Israeli. He represents the Israeli interest, our shared interest, the only interest that can keep the values of Israel staying alive. So those who love Israel must fight for peace as you do. And I would like to thank you for not giving up. Because these are days, and speaking the truth, these are quite difficult days for those supporting peace. And frankly, peace is the reason why I joined politics. Frankly, I hate politics, but I believe, oh yeah, I was quite a good lawyer when I decided to join politics in 1995. But I watched my two sons, they were 5 and 8 at the time, and I decided I would not forget myself if I would not do something that I believe is the only thing that is needed to keep Israel with its values and to leave them a secured Jewish democratic state. So I would not promise that peace is just around the corner. It's not. But I believe that we should not give up hope, and instead of entering to this blame game, we are blaming the Palestinians, they are blaming us, let's not forget what is our national GPS. And since our national GPS is Jewish democratic state, it's our interest to stop in a station to reach an agreement with the Palestinians. But if we have problems on the way, it's a kind of a traffic jam, problematic, so we can wait. We can continue and find other ways to move forward, but we should do everything to keep the road open. And the meaning is not to build new settlements, not to invent new settlements, because settlements activities is part of another vision for the State of Israel. It's another national GPS. And this is the vision of Greater Israel. I respect this vision. It's not mine. And those who are taking Israel with this Greater Israel GPS, for them, democracy is a burden. And their stop in the way is to act against the nature of Israel as a democracy. And therefore, we need to move forward and don't forget why and where we are heading with our own values and GPS. Now, there are new opportunities for peace in the region. We have Arab states, Muslim states, they understand that Iran is their threat, not Israel. They would like to have better relations with Israel, even peace with Israel. But they cannot say yes to peace with Israel as long as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is open. And the good news is that if we achieve peace with the Palestinians, the meaning is really a regional peace. And this is not just peace, in terms of fairy tales. This can really change strategically Israel's security. And I would like to say few words about Israel's security, because I know that as you support peace, you also support Israel's security. And I would like to thank you for standing for the idea of two states for two peoples, and standing also against those that are trying to abuse the situation and the image of Israel and attack Israel, and especially against the BDS. They don't represent the idea of two states for two peoples, trust me. They are just against the existence of Israel. And I know, my friends, that sometimes it's not easy to advocate for Israel. I know that Israel is being criticized over our military actions. And I highly appreciate the fact that you are doing it, even in times that it's not easy. And believe me, I wish that the situation in Gaza had been different. When Israel dismantled all the settlements and completely withdrew from Gaza, we didn't hope for Hamas to take over and continuing in targeting Israel with rockets and with terror tunnels. But the situation is very complicated. But I feel I don't want to speak, on Israel's security, but I would like to share something with you, because I'm leaving tomorrow for Israel, and I land in Israel just at the beginning, just in time for the Memorial Day for our fallen soldiers. And I would like to say a few words about the Israeli soldiers, not only those who sacrificed their life for the security of the Jewish Democratic State, but also who serve now in the Israeli army. I know who they are. I myself was an officer in the Israeli army. My 2 sons served in combat units, and trust me, they are exactly like you young people who sit here in the audience. They come from different parts of Israel society, left and right. They are trying to do their best to defend the state of Israel. I know, thinking about my 2 sons, what they stand for and what the values they believe in. And I also know the ethical code of the IDF. So if a soldier breaks that ethical code or violates the law, he is prosecuted and punished. And I want you to know that because the state of Israel, with the values that it represents, does not and should not tolerate it. And I share this with you because I'm familiar with criticize. I know what the pictures that you see here, and I know that sometimes it's difficult to stand for these values and to stand for Israel's security, and I just wanted to share this with you personally. But talking about Israel's security, there is one thing that I would never do. And I would not use, or under the name of security, I would not use it in order to act against freedom of speech in Israel. I would never use the name of security against civil society organizations. Democracy is not only a system of election where majority rules, and unfortunately these are things that I hear these days in Israel. Well, they are the majority, we can do whatever we want. No, they don't. Because democracy is also a set of values that we must preserve and fight for. The rule of law, freedom of speech, a free press, an independent legal system that keeps Israel values, even when the government don't like it or doesn't like it. Because those that are trying to overcome our Supreme Court are those that would not accept the values of democracy. And this is time to fight for democracy in Israel, and not only in Israel. Because this is a phenomenon that we see all over the world. And it's time for liberals to unite and to fight for these values in Israel, here in the United States, and all over the world. And let me be clear. When we see trends of delegitimizing political opponents or civil society activists, I will fight for the right of all people, even those that I don't agree with their views, to speak up, to demonstrate, and to fight for their views, because this is the nature and the values of Israeli society. This is my responsibility, this is our responsibility, and I would like to promise you that we are not only share the same values, we are fighting for the same values. And democracy is not something to be taken for granted, and therefore we need to fight for it. So when journalists who criticize leaders are called traitors, when we are told not to trust our judges or law enforcement officials, when civil society activists are delegitimized, in the end, it's our liberal values that are put on the line, and therefore we need to unite in defending them. So today, my friends, I'm here with you to speak up for the values that we believe in: democracy, equality, human rights, peace. These are becoming dirty words sometimes in Israel and in other parts of the world. And we should stand and speak up and fight for it. So, you know, every Israeli leader who comes to the United States, usually they start by saying, that the ties between Israel and the United States are unbreakable, unshakable, and based on the shared values, which is right. This is what made the US, America, and Israel great. But it's not enough to speak about these values. It's more important to keep them and to cherish them and to fight for them. So I believe, my friends, that these are the values that Israel is based upon. These are the values of the Scroll of Independence. These are the values that we all believe in. These are the values that if we adapt and fight for, these are also the basis for a better relationship, close relationship between Israel and the world Jewry. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.